Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to Raising Excellence, the most important 90 minutes of your day. I am Michael, the MC and Opportunity Ambassador for today's show. And today's show's title is Happy Birthday!
Yay! Happy
Letting
birthday
Go.
to us. And letting go.
Yes.
And happy
With
birthday.
me
And
today are my fabulous co-hosts. You've already met one of them, Agnieszka, our psychosomatic illuminator, and Dennis, our freedom facilitator.
Greetings and blessed love. Glad to be with you.
So today we're celebrating our 1 year anniversary / birthday / new start. We've got some announcements to make. And
it's my birthday too this week, but I'm not one. I'm 47 years older than that.
Okay, well,
I also
that's
feel
something.
5 at heart.
Lovely. So where do we want to begin? Do we want to talk about the birthday portion of this thing, or do you want to talk about the letting go part of the thing, or do you want to talk about our plans? What do
I
you want
thought
to
we
talk
were going to start with singing. Didn't
With
you say
what?
we're going to sing? We have to sing.
Sing.
It's
about?
birthday, yeah.
I forgot about the
Let's sing
singing
in
part.
German then.
Oh, but they might...
Nobody knows the words to that.
Oh, gosh.
So
We can
let's
do
do it.
German. We can do all kind of languages. But the thing is,
Okay.
you're always so concerned about us getting, bunked off and censored, and isn't singing like a thing of the past in these times?
I think we can manage a happy birthday song.
All right. You start in Spanish then. And then I take
No, I
over the
don't
German one.
Oh, wait. No. Spanish? I don't know happy birthday in Spanish, or
It's
do I?
Feliz
Cumpleaños.
Feliz Navidad.
Cumpleaños, I
That
think.
one? No, that's the Christmas one. I can do Polish.
Cumpleaños.
100 lat, niech żyje, żyje nam. 100 lat, niech żyje, żyje nam.
Zum Geburtstag viel Glück, zum Geburtstag viel Glück, zum Geburtstag, zum Geburtstag, zum Geburtstag viel Glück.
And Michael?
The Spanish one now.
What's your language?
I just got English, so it's just happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Raising Excellence and Agnieszka. Happy birthday to you.
Raising accents. This show's all about raising accents. I was just being silly.
Feliz cumpleaños Pati, feliz cumpleaños Pati, feliz cumpleaños Raising Excellence, feliz cumpleaños Pati. Parabéns pra você nessa data querida, muitas felicidades, muitos anos de vida. Oh, you
Is
go
that
on.
Portuguese?
Yeah.
The last one? Okay, cool. What multilingual group we have.
Wow.
So,
Hey, didn't you say you talk Esperanto? Calling
Yes.
out, they know. So they don't say happy birthday in Esperanto?
we do, and I was trying to avoid that because right now I'm drawing a blank. So just like, let's not talk about it.
Change the subject. Cheesecake.
I'm like, I should know this. I've heard this a million
No,
times in my life.
We don't have cheesecake either, so but no.
No cheesecake, no willow.
Khalil Gibran.
We have Kahil Gibran. Okay, well, let's talk.
No, we
about
don't have him yet.
Hang on, I gotta
Now on the
catch
wrong
the
computer.
fire ant and blow it off my desk.
Anniversaries
So it
or
doesn't hurt me.
birthdays.
Come on.
Isn't there like a sunset going on over your side somewhere we could focus on at this point?
Tiny little fire ants. Anyway, so Willow's not here because she's having some health challenges, and she said she would return once she feels strong enough again. So we will miss her in the meantime. But because she's not here, we can make some changes. We're probably going to be moving the show up a little bit in time, maybe making it a little bit earlier, or maybe making it a little bit later. That meeting is on Sunday, because the only reason why we were doing it at this time was because that was the only time we could coordinate between North America and Europe. and so that everybody would be able to be fully engaged. And now that Willow's not here, I think we're a little bit more flexible with time, and we can let Dennis not stay up so late because he's doing this show at 2:00 in the morning sometimes, and it's not a good scene.
People ask me all the while
Yeah.
how they don't see it in my face and stuff.
They see it in your face. They do. I saw it in your face last time. But that's okay. You know what? It's not a big deal. We're learning and we're growing and we're developing and we're changing and we're shifting and we're morphing and we're becoming better and stronger and brighter and happier every single day of our lives. And that's exactly what the letting go part of this show is about. Letting go of the stuff that no longer serves you. Take that backpack off your back and put it down under the tree and walk away. Just walk away.
Yeah, letting go of the things that prevent you from raising
Well,
your
Excellence.
excellence.
Raising
as a matter of
excellence.
fact, I had a quote today.
Is it Khalil Gibran?
Knowledge is learning something. It isn't, but it's
Oh.
a Zen proverb, actually. And it says, knowledge is learning something every day. Wisdom is letting go of something every day.
That's
Wisdom, letting go.
Of the backpack.
And actually, I've got another one from Bruce Lee.
But hang on, because that one reminded me of something. Knowledge
Okay.
is knowing that tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is not putting it in salad or in fruit salad. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I messed it up. Go. You were more serious.
Okay, Bruce Lee says, this is one of his 7 keys to getting your life in shape, by the way. And this is number 2, simplify. It's not the daily increase, but the daily decrease. Hack away at the unessential. So let
what-
go of the stuff that doesn't matter.
So what are you letting go of today that doesn't matter?
Yeah. What are you letting go?
I'm going to try and let go of the fear, doubt, and ignorance that I see all over the place.
Wait. You can't let go of stuff other people got. Do you have fear, doubt, and ignorance that you see all over the place?
Well, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about that. And it has been something that I've been struggling with trying to address in my own way, because it has been something that I've been dreading, I guess. And I actually wrote a bit of a poem. I don't know. It kind of turned into a bit of a rant. But I was trying to make it into.
I did one of those today too.
The runs, you mean?
Brother.
But I had this feeling of dread that involved people's ignorance and fear and doubt, and it's just been hanging on for the last few days, and I'm just letting go of it.
What about letting go of the concern itself?
Well, yeah, I would say that's kind of part of it too. Yeah.
I want to let go of attachment.
Attachment.
That's very
What?
broad and general, isn't it?
Yeah, that sounds like a cop out.
A cop out? What do you mean by that?
Like you're trying to escape letting go.
Generalization.
So you're
I see.
generalizing,
General.
picking up stories to blow smoke and not actually do anything. But I may be wrong. I'm probably wrong. Prove me wrong.
Well, so you want to hear something more specific about today?
I want it to be attainable, measurable, quantifiable, and so we can check if you actually did it. Because if you say, I'm going to let go of the sky, and then there's still sky the next time we talk, there's no way to tell if you've let go of it or not.
So, well, all the other ones are also kind of generalizing. What about letting go of? Not sure how specific I want to get still.
What about letting go of expectation? Well, you don't have to be that specific. You can generalize a little bit. We don't have to know your personal business. Business.
Like let's go, like hindering beliefs, past what is there in the past that we could let go? Like rejections or pain, hurt, those things that in the past that still kind of linger around if we start to look closer, if we start to take our journaling more serious, and those things can come up, and we still notice that I thought it was long gone. It is long gone, but there's still attachment. The other day I was talking to a friend, and she was sharing some techniques, and even just the notion of untangling or disconnecting attachments to past people that we met, and that was an interesting thought that kind of lingered around with me. People you would have been together with, but that are not there again, but you haven't let go, and you haven't detached from relationships, from friendships, that are no more, and so they still impact you in a way that is not necessary, or that's hindering you from being fully right here and right now, in a way. So it's not to say that there's not lessons, and there's not acknowledgement for the fact that it was what it was back then, and it was necessary. But if it still has some kind of if there's still waves of it that are troubling my little boat right now, then that's not necessary, because it is gone. Yeah. Was that
Why is it
specific?
not necessary? What's not necessary about it?
Well, if the waves shook up my boat back then, and I managed to to continue on my path and to sail on and to overcome those waves, then why not just leave them behind me?
But we always overcome all the waves. Does that mean you should never worry about any waves? Because all waves are overcomable.
Hold on, say that again. I didn't get the
Because
last one.
every time there are waves, we always overcome it. Every single day, we overcome the waves.
Yeah, so let me get the new
That
ones then.
means you should never worry about any storm because it's always going to be overcome.
Well, there's always going to be a calm after the storm, right? No storm is there forever. But Chambavi is saying, let's hear the poem, Mike.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, please. You don't have to. I mean, nobody's going to judge you. I'm sure Shambhavi is just like,
She will.
she won't. She'll love you. I know her. She's cool. She's not like that.
Like I said, it started off as a poem, and it kind of went into a rant. I'm not exactly sure where I'm
Poem
at.
does not have to
You know,
rhyme.
I am absolutely loving poetry though these days, and I feel like I'm able to express myself so much better because I'm really thinking about the words a lot more
Yes.
intentionally,
I feel the
and
same way.
it's working out. Yeah, so I'm loving it, but I don't know if I'm ready to share this one.
Okay.
Sure.
No worries. Can you tell us
Thanks
the
for
feeling
asking.
that it evoked in you? Can you talk about it in general terms as opposed to just telling us the whole poem?
Well,
So-
it was just I'm trying to be a little bit more specific about my own emotional feelings and stuff like that to identify them a little better. And so this was about really the past few days. I've been, like I was saying, I'm feeling this dread that probably is a lot of people are feeling because it just seems like we just keep getting hit with more bad news. And with all the things that are going on around the world, I just kind of feel like there's that, like everybody is kind of exhausted from all the bad news that just keeps going, and it doesn't seem to make any sense, and to some degree it just keeps getting more nonsensical. And honestly, I feel like it's it's kind of like going into a world war, when you like people just they just kind of keep piping up the rhetoric, oh, those guys are the bad guys, these guys are the bad guys, we got to go kill those bad guys. It's that kind of irrational thinking that leads to a lot more bad news and death and destruction. So just kind
It's interesting because I was thinking about the poem. Sorry, were you finished?
Yeah, I was.
Because I was thinking about what you were saying, but I was also glancing down on my poem. Now, I'm not ready to share my whole poem with you, but the one little part of my poem really reflects what you just said. So how about I just read that little thing?
Okay.
So here's how it goes. As we tumble deeper and deeper into the cold embrace of antipathy, we are joined by the familiar crew: anger, resentment, fear, and disappointment. They come for tea, they stay a while, or they move into the dark corners of your consciousness and lodge.
Yeah.
I wrote it this morning.
Oh, and I agree that is what seems to be going on and what seems to be happening in the seed. I saw it today, going to town and on the last day where stores are open here before everything is gonna go lockdown even further, and it's already locked down and way. And so what I hear and what I see in people's faces is that notion, that people are getting more grumpy and discontent, and children not laughing again. There's no spontaneity in them, and it's just generally that kind of vibe that I feel you're describing as well, Mike, with your words, and Agnieszka as well. And at the same time, I'm like, okay, so if that's the vibe, so what's my vibe going to be like? What's my response going to be? Because that, speaking from a from a standpoint of having gone through autonomy, the course that we met in, and one of the things and one of the lessons therein, as far as I remember, was to also look out for the niche. And doesn't it make for a tremendous niche if everybody is down and depressed and doesn't want to move or work out, to be the one who is actually upbeat and who makes the difference and who can shift his or her own energy and therefore also impact others with it. So I thought about that and I was like, okay, like if that's the vibe that I'm getting from my students and the clients or former clients I had, then it's like, okay, so what can I do to not be like that? And wouldn't that be beneficial, and wouldn't people see benefit in that if there was somebody around who could cheer them up and who could just, or maybe not cheering up like a clown, but show them a different perspective, or show them a view on the situation that might can give that might can show like a lesson in it, or a learning, or a benefit of it as well, as as difficult as that might seem. Is there anything that you could come up with, like if there was somebody even more depressed and even more down, or even more worried or concerned about the situation, that you
in the world?
Yeah, that if somebody just walked in right now, like what kind of counsel could you give him or her, to look to see things, not to disregard for what they are, but to also say, okay, it is what it is, but also what about if you look at it from over here? Can you find
Well, if
something?
you want to ask me a question, you have to stop talking so I can
I'm
answer.
so sorry. Desculpa. I wanted to give you more time. It's for reflection and for preparing your words carefully, so you could express yourself properly.
Okay, but no, I got it. So, what I would say is that if you look at astrology, this planetary alignment, or astronomy even, this planetary alignment happens only once every 800 years. And that tells us that we're in unique times. There were these huge retrogrades coming up to November, and now we're going into that shiny, bright star happening on December 21st, and which is the conclusion of my birthday week. I had to. And so I would say that the next few months, maybe few years, is like a birthing canal. Like whatever we do now, that's what's going to happen. That's whatever we nurture in our hearts, whatever we step into in between our two ears, inside our head, inside our heart, in between our two breasts, like inside, the battle is inside. So whatever we stand up to and live, however We want to be. It's like, you know what it's like? You know what it's like? When I was a kid, there's this old Polish tradition, and it's very weird. But anyway, it's the old Polish tradition. Every Christmas Eve, we
Weirder the
serve
better, honestly.
every Christmas Eve we serve 12 dishes, and there are 12 different dishes for dinner, right? And everybody has to have a little bit of everything. And my mom used to say that each dish represents like a different apostle or different energy or whatever, and that I had to try every single dish or I couldn't leave the table. And I'd be like, why? And she's like, well, each dish represents a different month of the coming year, and you're going to not have good luck in every month if you're not open to trying every dish. Right? So if you want to have good luck every month of the year, and I don't know what part of it was like interpretation and what part of it was the actual tradition, but it was always like this struggle. I would sit at this table and they were this fish in aspic, fish head in aspic, or something that I really didn't want to eat, or pickled herring, and I've just had something really good, and I wouldn't want to eat the pickled herring or the fish in aspic, even though it's not bad if you actually have it. But as a child, you know, seeing the fish swimming in the jelly with the big eye looking at me, it was a little creepy. And so my mom's like, no, you have to try every dish. You don't have to eat a lot. You just have to have a little bit of every single dish. And I think that this year, this coming time, it's like that. You may not like every single dish that you're served, but you have to try it. And you have to figure out what you like and stand up for what you like. Does that make you guys feel better?
Very interesting.
Or worse? Because I think it may be a few years until the world figures out how to be in this new reality, unfortunately.
That's
Not
a
that there
message.
isn't.
That's a message of hope right there.
Isn't it? Isn't it? You know, okay, I have to tell you guys another story. So this one time I was in this museum in Toruń, in the city of Toruń, which is in Poland. And it was like this really old Knights of the Cross, so the Templars, no, the Hospitaliers, St. Mary's, those guys, the ones with the white cape and the big black cross. And so I was in the museum about them, right? And there were different letters, and there were letters of the ladies. Oh, but there was also the letter from the mayor. And the letter from the mayor said, and it was like 1400 something, right? And the letter from the mayor said, we have to prepare for the end of the world coming. All the portents are aligned. And so we know that the end of the world will come this year at such and such a month. And so that's why we're you know, knowing what we know now with the thing, you know, the frogs that came down from the sky and the other signs that we've seen, or the frog plague and the other signs that we've seen, we know that this is the year of the end of the world. So I suggest that everybody stands together and prepare ourselves and pray and have God in our hearts, because the end of the world is coming this year. And it was like 14 something. And I realized that this end of the world, this like, oh my God, it's all going to shit in a handbasket. That's an age-old story. That's an archetypal myth that keeps happening and being retold and retold and retold. And it was retold 100 years ago. And then it was retold in the 70s, and then it was retold in the 2000s. I mean, how many times has it been retold since like you guys have been alive?
Yeah, so maybe now is the point for us to let go of the notion that the world is going to end. So it means,
or it won't,
or letting go of the whole
attachment
drama
of the world being here.
You know, because so much of what's going on is stemmed in, or is rooted in perception, or in the false perception of what's happening, or in the beliefs that are being installed and programmed into the collective mind. And I would say, like, a part of cutting through that is to let go of those beliefs and to let go of the programming that is being done. Because if there's only one person in the world that right here and right now is not concerned, is not worried, is not depressed or angered or you know, how would you say, disturbed by what's going on, then that is the living proof that there's a possibility of not being bothered too much by what's going on. And I'm pretty sure that at least one person is somewhere to be found. And if that's a possibility, then you know, can I also not be bothered too much? Can I also not be depressed because of what's going on? And where does it actually come from? You know, is it something that comes from within myself? Is it something that's, you know, artificially perpetrated and you know, introduced to me from the outside? And what will I have to do in order to get where I want to be? If where I'm right now, if that's not where I want to be, or if I want to change my perception or my present state even, like what would I have to do? And I was like, that's exciting again. Okay. So this one person, you know, I might go out like or like call around or meet people and see how they are. And if I find somebody who is doing, you know, great or just better than me, and then study them and figure out what are they doing, what are they thinking, you know, who are they talking to, or, you know, I can look around, or I might just sit and go within and figure out for myself, what would it take for me to do, to think, how would I have to act in order to, you know, to be on a, how would you say, to vibe on a different level, on a higher level. So I feel there's different approaches of doing that, but the worst thing is to that notion that, you know, it's not in our hands what's happening, and in the end it comes back down to us, because if you realize and if you take self-responsibility for our own state of being, and it's like, okay, like, you know, so I can change my own state, or I can improve it, I can have an impact on my own state. So, you know, let's start right there. So I don't even have to move to do that. So what kind of techniques are there? And we have gone through so many, and we have had, you know, amazing people here sharing that, and you know, the anniversary day is maybe also like a good moment to reflect upon that, and to review, you know, some of those techniques, some of those stories that we have been sharing, that were shared with us. So if we have the ability to change our own state, you know, some to a larger, some to a smaller degree, but still we have that opportunity, then and if we don't feel we have it, then there's certainly a chance to learn it. And, you know, besides Raising Excellence, there's many other persons, shows and books and God knows, you know, to go into that. So maybe that's the task. You know, you're asked to, those circumstances ask you to take up that task in order to learn and to acquire skills and knowledge how to change your own state. And by doing that, we must affect those around us as well. So instead of, oh my God, that's so down, oh my, this is happening, that is happening, it's like, okay, so what's happening inside of me? Is what's happening out there happening inside of me as well? And if I don't like what's happening out there, and I feel that that's not something I can directly impact, so let's start right here inside of me. Okay, like, how can I put some order to this? How can I put, you know, make sense out of this? How can I, you know, look at what's going wrong, but make things go right inside of me, and then see how that radiates out. And maybe, you know, there's other people who would be interested and get excited when they see me and they ask, hey, what's going on with you? Everybody's down, crying, whatever, and angry, and like, you're smiling and you're having fun, and I don't know, you're going out in nature, you're working out, you're meeting people, and you're, I don't know, playing with children and stuff. It's like, wow, how is that? What happened to you? And it's, it's because I'm doing those things that I'm in a better state. Why don't you come too? Let's meet tomorrow at the playground and play ball with the children.
The illegal playground?
The illegal one? The woods. The ones that are not fenced off yet. within 500 meters of your yard. No, it's not that bad yet. We're not in France.
Oh, the woods are not fenced off in France?
No, they have a radius. Is it 5 miles or so around the house? You know, they can shop within 5 miles or 5 kilometers. Not further though.
And what if they don't have a measuring device as to how far 5 kilometers is?
Oh, we're in Europe. We have a pretty good sense.
The police officer
will let them know.
always like a measuring tape. Oh no, it's 5 kilometers and 10 centimeters. Nope, sorry. Go back across the line.
Yeah, mind the line, because if you go
They'll
across
just
the
get
line,
like
that's when it bites. It
That's what you
bite
call a
inside.
warning shot.
A warning shot in the liver.
You're not American, Dennis. Don't sound like them. Come on.
A warning shot right between the eyes. That'll teach you.
We were going to be good on this show.
Offended anybody?
Facebook troubles were enough. You don't need to have trouble on YouTube too. My goodness.
I'm so sorry. I triggered the algorithm.
Triggered the algorithm. So the saying of the first half of 2020 is, "Oh, sorry, you're muted," and the saying of the second half of 2020 is, "I'm so sorry, I triggered the algorithm."
Let's go to the audience. Shambhavi is writing, acceptance is the key.
Acceptance of the algorithm. I'm so sorry, I do not accept the algorithm. Shambhavi, what's your relationship with the algorithm? Do you like it? It's funny for Shambhavi. No.
Well, but all right. So acceptance is the key for letting go, isn't it? Because it's
Do you
kind
accept the storm?
it's kind of hard to let go of something that you don't accept.
Oh, that was relief. That was like a sudden yawn. I wasn't at all tired or anything, and suddenly you're like, you just have to release, and I'm like,
So can we accept what's going on right now?
Something Dennis was trying to avoid.
well, that's how it works.
Well, I would definitely like to chime in on that, because I think acceptance of the things that you cannot change, the things that you cannot control, are certainly one of the healthy things to do. And I think in a lot of cases, a lot of people are worried about things that they can't control. And I think that's certainly one of the areas. But where does that end? Because a lot of the things that are going on are because people just allow them to happen. They consent to things that otherwise wouldn't otherwise consent to. So, like, where does that line get drawn?
So, well, they allow them to happen, but then we still have to accept that. We have to accept that they allow them to happen if we follow through with it. Because if you don't accept that they allow it to happen and that those things are
Well, like,
happening,
for example, if they tell you to stay within 5 kilometers of your house, are you
You gonna?
is that acceptance? Do you accept that that's the rule that you have to abide by, or do you just say, nah,
well, I
I'm
accept
going to
that
do
they
what I'm
made a
going to
rule.
do?
Sorry.
Well, you have to accept that you're gonna get a ticket if you don't follow the rule. So you have to either accept to pay the ticket or accept that you're not gonna break the rule because you don't want to pay the ticket.
Well, you could take the ticket, but just say, I'm not gonna accept that either.
Well, if you don't want to accept the ticket, then you shouldn't take it. It's not the same thing.
You could say, I'm not accepting any tickets today, sir, but you could do that from a standpoint of acceptance of the general situation.
I accept that you have to give me a ticket, but I don't accept the payment of any tickets.
What's the
You're
officer?
going to have to accept that I'm not paying it.
Yeah. What's the officer, Mr. Problem? I don't accept any paperwork today. Oh yeah. Shambhavi is reminding me of the fact that I got kicked off the book of faces. And she's saying, now if YouTube gets you off, I'll never see you again. we'll have to work on accepting that as well once it happens, and we shall find new ways.
Yeah, we are.
There's also email and
We are drawing
telephone so
that
far, and
fine line.
telegram and flying pigeon across the ocean. No, maybe pigeon wouldn't make it. I'm doubting that the pigeon would
Yeah,
make
well,
it. It's the Atlantic.
You'd have to let go of the pigeon.
Well, these are some of the things that we might want to discuss with our audience in regard to how they might support us in the future, because there is absolutely the possibility that there's going to be some big changes with a lot of the venues that most of us are very familiar with, and it seems like anybody that speaks against any of the things that they don't like, then you're going to be deplatformed.
Well, we're working to mitigate that with Content Safe. So
what is Content Safe?
Yeah, so I guess that's one of the things we can talk a
Safe
little bit about, right?
company that helps YouTubers who are in danger of becoming erased from history to not be erased. It backs up your software or your videos. It after the broadcast, it sends your videos to other platforms and services, and like it disseminates. That's the word I was trying to remember. Disseminates your broadcast to other services, and it keeps it. When it's in many places, then not one person has control over your efforts.
Nice. That sounds a lot like somebody was able to accept what was going on and happening, and from that standpoint of acceptance was able to identify a niche market and use it probably for his and for the benefit of many other people as well.
And I highly recommend also, if you're into protecting people from being, or no, if you're into resilient people who don't care about being kicked off places, check out the League of the Unwanted. Wasn't that what it was? That video we watched the other day, the League of the Unwanted. It was all the people who've
Yes.
been removed from this
Union.
platform.
I think it's the Union
Union,
of
there
the
you go.
Unwanted.
I like the League better though. We should change it. We should tell them to
We'll
change.
throw a suggestion their way.
So yeah, so there's a lot of that going on, and I think we should support each other and all the YouTubers, and we maybe be more robust about reminding people about all the different shows that we do. We don't just do Raising Excellence, we do Leadership and Ethics, and we do Spiritual Revolution, and we do Renaissance Revolution, all these different offerings that we interact with our audience at.
And there's even some courses being offered and
I heard of a
classes and
capoeira course.
coachings
There's this
and
guy in Germany named Dennis, and he's doing this online capoeira exercise thing. Still in the works, but I'm certainly hope that he will give me some stretches, because that
Okay.
shoulder.
Actually,
Yeah.
that would be a great discussion, honestly, because I think what you're putting together, Dennis, as far as like maybe a capoeira course for adults, could really, I think, help a lot of people, because certainly with the way things are, the stressful environment that you have, capoeira is got a long history of really kind of free speech in a difficult situation, and I think that whole story could really help inspire people and really kind of, I think, give people a lot more, feelings of the human nature will persevere even in the worst times.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. Let's talk a little bit about your course offering. in that regard.
Just before we do that, you know what I did today, Dennis? Because I don't know the capoeira stretches. I tied this scarf and I put it behind my back, and then like this, and then I was pulling on it to massage my back, because I have a shoulder. See, and it's a good idea. It actually did help, but I would rather do maybe some stretches and something with this guy from Germany named Dennis.
Sure, like I
The Jamaican accent.
fully agree to what you said there, Mike, because if you look at the history of capoeira, which is an Afro-Brazilian martial art, culture, dance, and that actually, more than 500 years ago, this came about in times that were even more severe in a way than today. Maybe not on a global scale, but then in another way on a global scale as well, because this art was actually born during slavery times in Brazil, and if you try to imagine the circumstances under which this art, which is so upbeat and beautiful to see, to watch, it's fluent, it's vibrant, it's unique, and just like everything else, it has two sides, and it can be used for many things, but it was born in under severe conditions of slavery, torture, families being torn apart, death, and the worst things that we can't even probably imagine, and yet it is something that in a way conquered the globe and that is seen all over the place now within the short time of 500 years, short compared to other martial arts which have been around for even thousands of years apparently, and
Just like slavery.
So if you look at it today, people complaining, oh God, it's bad and mask and this and that, and yeah, that's I accept all of that as well. But it's like for me that does like, and maybe that's part of my personality as well. But I see that in capoeira as well. It's like, oh, it's tough. Oh yeah, oh really? Give it your best shot, because I'm not here to just lay down and die or roll over and go away, and because I've gone through worse, in a way, and then this art has gone through worse. And if that's, and whatever it is, whether it's capoeira, and I think that can be valued as well, because not everybody, might enjoy working out or doing the movements, or might not be inclined to do that. Although I certainly would recommend to at least try, because you can get a lot of benefits out of that. And you don't have to be able to, I don't know, fly through the air and spin on your head or so to get benefits from that. But there's so many other aspects of it, the musical aspect, then the whole philosophy that's behind it. And it's like, and then even just to observe or to get to know a little better about this art, it might actually be able to help you reflect about your own path. So let's say if I'm able to inspire you with what I've, the skills and experiences that I've had in my life, the skills that I've developed, and see, look, for me, capoeira did this and did that, and it does that, and it brought me to where I'm right now. And that's how I see it. It's like, what impacts your life in a similar way? Is it, I don't know, you're collecting stamps, or I don't know, you're involved with dogs, or whatever hobby you have, or whatever it is that makes your eyes shine and makes your heart beat faster. How can you transform that? How can you make that the light that lights you up, that inspires you, that makes you laugh, that makes you tap into your full potential? And like I said, it doesn't have to be necessarily capoeira, but it gives much inspiration, because it has so many facets. It's like a huge universe. You have the combat aspect, the martial art aspect of it. You have music, you have the vibrancy of the rhythm of the music, of the songs, the poetry of the songs, the metaphoric songs that with very little they give a huge message that applied 500 years ago and that applies today same way. That's amazing in itself. There's improvisation, then there's choreography as well. There's the whole social aspect, which is huge as well, because it's not something you do against somebody else, but it's something you do together. So we don't even fight each other in capoeira, we play with each other. And then there's the play of the two capoeira players, and then there's the interaction of the entire group. Everybody's standing in a circle, clapping, chanting. Some people are playing instruments. The beat of the instruments is setting the mode for the game, the nature of the game. So you're flowing, you move the movements, flowing with the rhythm. The rhythm is being done by the instruments. The clapping and the singing is following the instruments. There's so much communication there on the inside and on the outside. And it's just it's a celebration of life, really. And it's a metaphor of everything else that can go on in the outside world. And if you learn, or I have learned, let's say that, to see within the art of capoeira a reflection of everything that goes on in the outside life. And I feel that there's a possibility of doing that with, something that you might love. And if you can learn by that example that, whatever, makes your eyes shine brighter, that you can find, balance and harmony on a physical level, on an emotional level, even on a spiritual level, maybe. And you might be, it might be funny, but, I've seen people sweeping the streets, and they're not like working and laboring and then going home and say, oh, that's a crap job. But they're doing it, and they find fulfillment in a apparently mundane deed like that. And you find, you see people doing the most simple tasks, and it's a fulfillment of their being in the moment. They're able to merge with what is in that moment. And I feel, to observe and to learn from those who can enter, who can enter eternity in a way, or infinite being, in seemingly mundane deeds, then those are masters, that you can learn from. And they don't necessarily have, come with a black belt or with a white belt. In capoeira, the mestre has a white belt around them. But oftentimes it's life itself.
All right, I gotta stop you. I got to stop you because you went on way too long.
That's why you got.
But but there are some additional benefits I do want to mention, and that is certainly because people are the vast majority of people are stuck behind their computers. They're not getting enough physical activity. This is definitely something that can help them in that regard. And then, one of the things that I definitely feel strongly about is building good habits and daily practices. And one of the components of building good habits is not just a mental decision, but it's also a physical. There's got to be a physical component to making a change in your life, and certainly it serves as that too. So I think it could be good for a lot of people because of those things as well. Certainly with the way that we've got to take more responsibility for our lives these days, because we're stuck in the house, and a lot of people are stuck in the house, and they've got to take on essentially becoming entrepreneurs in their own home.
Yeah.
They've got to start developing some new habits. They've got to start developing some new daily practices that kind of gets them in a different mode. And if they don't take responsibility for that, and they don't take responsibility for themselves, and they don't take responsibility for taking on new habits and practices and doing it in a way that anchors it into a healthy lifestyle, they're going to they're going to fall victim to a lot of the stuff that's unhealthy and all the things that could go wrong.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you have to get moving, and are you going to be the one who takes the whole lockdown and God knows what as an excuse for not working out, not getting moving, not getting into gear? Or are you the one who's going to take that and say, wow, I have so much time, let me get in the best shape ever. Let me get in a routine and set up a discipline for myself. And that's, in that way, it's a great opportunity because, you might have the illusion that you depend on somebody else for doing or getting anything done, which is an illusion. It's like, oh, I need my trainer to do this. Oh, I need that coach. Is oh, really? Well, no, you don't have a trainer. No, you can't go out. Oh, I'm on the basketball team and they don't play. Or they just talked to somebody yesterday. He's on the national on the selection. He's like, oh, they locked down all the halls here from months ago. They even removed the basketball. How you call
hoops.
it? The hoops.
Hoops.
The hoops and under the bridges here where people used to gather and play in order to prevent them to go there. And it's like, like how shitty is that? And so. Okay, so
we taped off all the playgrounds in Canada with police do not cross tape.
Because it's so unhealthy to do sports and to be outside, right? It makes sense. Anyway, so are you the one who takes it as an excuse to not get up in the morning, lay on the sofa and eat bad food, or are you the one who's gonna come out of this because it's gonna end? It's someday. God knows if it's years, like Agnieszka say, or maybe next week, I don't know. But certainly people who are, active and take self-responsibility are going to...
will take years. I'll say this, I said the shift in consciousness, in human consciousness will take a few years.
All right.
It's not the same thing.
Jeez. So are we going to be the ones, the active ones, the ones that take self-responsibility, who are then also I would say, more prone to take responsibility for what's going on, in our communities, in our countries, and step out and make a change and make a move? Or are we going to be the ones who lean back and wait for somebody, for the guy on the white horse to ride to town and do all the work for us, which is never really happening.
We could also just buy an island and all move there and just live in peace on that one island. Create their own FEMA camp.
We'll see how that works out. We talked a little bit about it, like what Dennis is doing, and I really feel like this is also an opportunity when it comes to raising excellence. We've been doing this for a year. We've kind of been establishing ourselves as somebody that is trying to help people, is trying to educate people about better ways and better options. Certainly, what you're doing, Agnieszka, what's going on with you? You've got a Spiritual Revolution podcast, but you've also got another website and a book project coming up.
Yes, hang on a second. I have to check something here. I just realized something. See, this is what happened today. I was like, oh, where are all our listeners? And then I remembered that my thing didn't have an at everyone. So I'm going to fix it now. Of course, it's
Let
2/3
me
through the show.
let me
But,
talk
you
to our
know,
She
listeners.
was
To our
reminding me
listeners.
all day about how I screwed it up.
well, and this is a perfect example.
I heard that there's a
That's
website
the
in the
one thing
works.
about.
I heard there's a website in the works for people who would like to get their face read. Right, Agnieszka?
That's nice. Super good of you to like, yeah, just say that to for everybody. So now I have to do it. Jesus.
I learned that new word in autonomy, accountability.
What's that? You know, I've been in English speaking countries for 30 years, but the words like accountability, responsibility, I can never remember the definition, you know? Like I understand what like, you know, some other words like mesotherm or whatever, a therm, yeah, derm, mesotherm. Yeah, that's it. I know what that means and I know other big words, but this whole accountability, responsibility,
Just let go of not knowing who you really are by getting your face read and coming out of this situation as somebody who will have a better understanding of him or herself.
yes, face reading is great. But you know what? I've been doing a lot of face reading on the other Spiritual Revolution show that's on Tuesday nights. And if anybody in autonomy would like to participate, you can certainly go to the calendar. But if you want, you can always reach out to me personally and I will add you to that show. Spiritual Revolution is not always public. It's sometimes private, depending on what's happening in the show. Some interviews are published on YouTube's.
And one of the upcoming improvements to our show shall also be that we have a little slide or, like a little more information on how to reach us personally and on what else we have offering. And Mike, you have a course going on right now. So I have heard. Would you like to expand upon that? Because that has to do with letting go as well, right? You
Adding
teach,
the at everyone and all the announcements.
and you have to let go of things in order to add new things.
Yes, I do have an ethical emergence course, which I feel is very important, in regard to, developing the person that you want to become from the person that you are today, kind of creating that vision of the person that you want to become. I honestly, there's a lot of things to that. And it really is about creating habits and practices that are daily, that really kind of incorporate the person that you want to become into your daily life so that you can actually do that. But honestly, I didn't want to talk too much about myself. I wanted to talk a little bit more about what Agnieszka's got going on, because I do want to make some commitments about the things that she wants to do for this coming year, because she is actually the one that started Raising Excellence as well. And
Sure.
all the things that the vision of what you had in mind for this, because I do feel like this is an important year for us, because
No, when I
we
created
have kind
that
of
vision about
established.
raising excellence before, like a year ago, when I first came up with the idea, there was no COVID, there was no lockdowns, there was nothing like that. We were just going to have a nice year, develop ourselves, maybe do some traveling. But instead, we've been doing Raising Excellence for a year. It's been challenging. We've gained people, we've lost people, we've had volunteers leave. There are all of these. There was a lot of tumultuous, and nobody's left in sort of like a huff or whatever. But everybody's like, okay, I have to work on this project or that project, and I think it's been a very growth promoting process. And in the meantime, I relocated to Mexico for the time being, to Michael's house. So that was something that came out of Raising Excellence as well. But I think that we've grown up a little bit too. And the three of us, so now it's the three of us. Willow's taking a sabbatical, Tim's taking a sabbatical, Deirdre left us. And so maybe what we can do is we can just re-envision, we can just put a restart on the whole Raising Excellence project. We can work a little bit more at promoting each other. We're much better at doing the show now. And we can seriously work together, as opposed to leaving it up to somebody like a volunteer or one of the members. Let's just do it together. And I think that might really make a difference.
And also, what we have been talking about is how to involve our audience also at a different level. So,
Yes.
there's the ones who have been supporting us from, from way back. And so there shall be some new features and some ways of how to support Raising Excellence and how to, if
And
you
maybe a
if you feel
Discord
declined.
server so we can talk to you and you can talk back and you can ask us questions directly. Wouldn't that be fun? I think that would be
God,
fun.
not another Discord server. Jeez, I don't know if we can handle another Discord server. I don't know if I can handle another Discord server.
Well, we do
You
have
just
one already, isn't it?
learn how to curate your media, my dear. Curating your media is the
Oh,
key.
God.
You put the
Please.
important stuff on top and you hide the other shit. And of course, Raising Excellence is the important stuff.
And Shambhavi made a comment a few a few minutes back already. Niche is the key. Remember, sold one single shoe to the amputees and made a win-win situation. Yes, I remember that story very well. So that takes ingenuity, that takes spontaneity, improvisation as well. Improvisation is big in capoeira as well. It's good to have a plan, but it's also good to be well versed in improvisation. So that gives you, and that comes from acceptance as well, isn't it? Like you have to accept what is. Okay, things didn't work out. Okay, I accept that. If you don't accept that, then you're gonna get stuck in, oh my god, why me, and why is this not working? And then you don't have no space for actually something maybe even better and greater coming into your life right now, because you're stuck with what's not working as you thought it should be working. If you accept, okay, this thing didn't work, what's next? What's there?
If you want to get
which door is
better at
open?
improv, Dennis, you should go to the Toastmasters on Sundays. That's where you really practice those improv skills. I'm just saying.
You say that's more challenging than a capoeira circle?
The Toastmasters, for you, yes. For me, no.
Alright,
Be like role reversal.
I shall take a jump in the water, in the cold water.
I don't know if it's a good time for you. I'm just like, but that is where you practice your improv skills. That is where we learn to speak on the cuff and off the cuff, and don't mince words and be able to answer question without being confused or lost in your own thoughts. It's practice.
Practice does make perfect. The more practice you get, the better you are.
There's no such thing as perfect.
certainly- Well, it's on the path to perfect.
Yeah. There was another thing, practice makes something, and it was improvement. Practice makes progress. That's what the other saying was. Practice makes progress.
We have spent quite some time without any quotes, and there's Socrates, and he has to say, sometimes you have
Socrates.
sometimes you have to let go to see if there was anything worth holding on to.
And then you're like, shit, I dropped my paintbrush and I'm painting a plane during flight. No?
Can you remember anything that once you let go of it, you realize that, oh, it wasn't really even worth all this struggle before holding on to it?
You know what? One time I believed that this special cheese was making my digestion better, because it was this cheese. It was about this cheese. Like, if I only had this cheese every morning, this probiotic or whatever, I could be good all day, right? Because it was before I figured out that I was allergic or whatever. And so every morning I would have this cheese, and then I moved to a different country or a different province, and it was really hard to find. And I had to let go of my magic cheese and actually digest on my own without tools. It was terrible. But essentially, no, I didn't need that cheese, and I could get my probiotics in a number of different ways. But I made a story.
I don't think I could go without cheese. I don't know if it was a special cheese, but without cheese, I think I would probably not have a very good time. And bacon. If I had to give up bacon, I'm never letting go of bacon and cheese, or eggs, or honey. But as far as letting go of things,
I've let go of
definitely feel
bacon, I'm
like,
fine, but the rest of it.
I think, I think back to when I was when I first became an adult, essentially in the military, and some of the worries that they kind of instill in you, like time is so important. Like if you miss a formation in the military, it can be really daunting. And so just like having that like constant worry, it took me years to get rid of that. It definitely carried me through my professional career and stuff like that, as far as
What do you mean
being
really
on time. And
daunting? Like, what would they do to you if you missed the timing in the military? I'm just,
they can put you on a bunch of crappy details of, like you're just like on the top of the list of things that they can send you off to, like guard duty out in the middle of the desert or some, crazy baloney. So they just kind of instill this worry, and in regard to keeping on time, and being where you're supposed to be and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, it lasted for a long time for me. And honestly, letting go of that was something that I just really got a hold of, being living here in Mexico, where time is a lot less important. And man, I'm telling you, letting go of that was incredibly uh, freeing, I guess.
I think I feel you on that one, because the letting go is something beyond just a mental exercise, isn't it? So you can intellectually, tell yourself that you're letting go of this and you're letting go of that, but unless this really permeates the entirety of your being, there is still going to be some form of attachment, and it'll hit hard from time to time, and it might come back, and just like you say, it might take years, to really overcome that attachment to something, and that's sometimes a slow and painful process. But just like you
Yeah.
said, also, in the end of it, when you're finally there, and you can look back at it, and you feel no, you know, you feel freedom. Then the letting go will lead to freedom.
Well, there's, just waking up and being like, oh God, what did I miss? Did I, do I have a schedule? Do I have something on the schedule or something like that? You know, that was something I had to deal with every day for a long, long time. And, I'm finally getting to the point where I can just go to sleep. And when I wake up, and I don't really have to worry about, like, on occasion I miss something, but even if I do, it's just like, oh, well, no big deal. I'll just, send them a message that I've overslept or something like that. But, typically I don't schedule anything just because of that, to some degree, in the morning, or the early morning anyway. And, man, it's just, that's, that makes my life so much better, so much better. But I would definitely encourage people that if they've got uh, you know, a very structured schedule, to take at least one day and don't schedule anything, and you just see what the difference is.
it's impossible for me right now.
Impossible is a word I don't believe in.
Well, start with
Well, I
half
wouldn't
day.
want to give up on all the fun things that I scheduled for every day. Sorry, Dennis.
You could start with a half day or 2 hours, or wherever it is, to be.
Yeah, and there is, but I do take a lot of time out, and so I think for me it's just a time management. Like I should schedule the time out as opposed to just take it whenever I want to, like a petulant little child, and then I should do actual work when I need to do actual work.
Well, that's certainly something I think a lot of people are going to have a struggle with, because when you're at home, when you work from home, you're the one that has to discipline yourself. So to some degree, you've got to be able to
No mommy and daddy.
schedule time, when that time is important, and actually deliver on that. And then when there's other times, you've got to say, all right, I'm putting the work down, and I'm proceeding with the fun part of my life or the day off.
You schedule
So
for
you-
the unscheduled.
So you might still play board games at 9 p.m. today?
I could. Yes, I could.
I wanted to play board games, but
I'm
Michael
not
showed.
ruling it out.
Buddha said, in the end, these things matter most. How well did you love? How fully did you live? How deeply did you let go? Yeah,
Buddha.
that kind of resonates with me because
I have mixed feelings about Buddha. Can I tell you guys about my trouble with Buddha?
tell us.
Because like
Please.
he abandoned his wife and his kid, right? Like he meditated, he went back, he got married, he had a kid, and then he's like, yeah, fuck this, I'm going off to meditate. And he left for several years. And when he first left, his kid was 1 year old. Now I understand that he left the kid in a palace full of people and servants and staff and whatever, but he still abandoned his own kid. Like, you know what I mean? The kid grew up without a dad. So sometimes I wonder if Buddha was the original deadbeat dad.
That's interesting. Well, I mean, most people like most of the heroes, most of the men that are in all of the stories are deadbeat dads to a lot of places. I don't know if you.
But do you know
The
why?
story of Andrew Jackson is definitely one where he just like leaves and goes and fights a war and then leaves and goes to Washington and leaves and does one other thing or another.
In
His
fact,
wife
during the
ends up
time when a
dying.
woman couldn't replace him with the next guy. No bueno. But you know what? You know what it is though? Because the guy that fights the battle is a warrior, right? And a warrior is never lucky in love. A warrior, the guy that fights the battle, the warrior is an immature version of the king. The warrior has to master his warrior ability, and then has to master his magician ability to his own possibilities, right? And then has to master his lover ability. And once he's figured out all of those three, he can become the king and master the king archetype. But the warrior is the lowest one of the four, and that's the first one where everybody starts. You start off as a warrior. No, I guess maybe not everybody, but a lot of people start off as a warrior, and they master that power. And it is
Well,
the
I
same
think
for
it's-
women. This is from a book on male psychology, but it is the same for women. You just have different labels.
Well, I think it's it's the Freudian archetypes
Jungian.
that you're talking about.
Jungian archetypes. Jungian,
It's-
not
it's-
Freud. Not
that-
Freud.
Is that more? Oh no, I'm sorry. Shoot. How did
It's all
I get
good, it's
Freud
all
in there?
good.
I hate Freud.
Actually, that's another interesting story. Apparently, we would not hate Freud if we could speak German. Apparently, Freud in original German is very different than Freud in English. And unless you can read Freud in original German, you should not have opinion on him. That's what I read or I talked to a German person once. And you know what? I believe him because in the 19th century, there were a lot of mistranslations of shit into English.
Okay,
So
I'll
Dennis,
take
go
that.
read some Freud and tell us what happened. Look at him, he's jumping right on that. He's like, woohoo, Freud, my favorite.
Yeah, I don't even want to go down that path.
Yeah, I have
Freud.
some questions about him too, but that's a whole different.
Well,
Did you read him
actually,
in German or did you read him in English, Dennis? Because you lived outside of Germany for so many years, maybe you didn't read the right version.
No, I didn't
Yeah,
read
but
him in
Dennis,
English.
aren't you taking Beth Martin's course?
Exactly, and I was
As a matter of
just
fact, why haven't we had her on a show yet?
Who
You
is
talked to
Beth
her?
Martin?
that's
Because I'm not aware of this.
She
because
Go
her
ahead.
course goes into a lot of detail about it's called the King Hero's Journey. So the 4 archetypes that you cited there, those are how would I say, her course expands a lot on them, so there's more archetypes than those 4, and I can say it's super interesting. It goes very deep.
Like the high tier tyrant and all of those. That's from a book by Gillette and Moore, The King Warrior Magician Lover. Very good book.
Yes.
Great book. Makes us understand humans so much better.
yeah, she would definitely be a very interesting person to
Do we
talk
know
to.
her? Is she in autonomy?
Yeah, I've been on her show and she's been on my show. So I don't know why we haven't had her on this show, because she would be good for this show
Because
too.
when it came to bringing guests over, you didn't bring her. That's why.
Yet.
Yet, yeah. One reason or another, somehow. There was something about that I was going to.
Well, so
discuss,
so
but
now our listeners know about letting go. Our listeners know about the future of Raising Excellence and what we're planning to do, sort of, as much as we know right now. They know that we're going to continue with the show and make it more and more fun and more interactive in the future. What else should they know today in this letting go and whatever day? Unless you want to read us your poem. I'm just joking.
no, still not going on that one.
No, you
Let
didn't need to.
go.
Well, we were talking about maybe doing like like a show mantra, right? We were talking about that a little bit right before we got on the thing. And I think that, one of our listeners, Pam, has this idea of like a family mantra, and maybe we can work in something along those lines. But
Like for each show, a different mantra, or for the triad, a different mount, a different.
I think it's more about defining who you are. And in her case, like she shared that sometime last year, I believe, how she, and we could bring her on and discuss that with her. I would be delighted to do that.
Good idea. I love having Pam on the show.
And she's great, like in terms of education, raising children, and so she was just sharing like how
Theater and singing, and
how she had a family, like a motto, and how they worked out how they define themselves as a family, which I think is very powerful, especially now, and I can see it, with 2 young children as well, because obviously, the more they go out in the world, for the as much as they are allowed these days, but there are obviously outside influences, and so those come home, and in terms of children, it is often unreflected, or they have to learn how to deal with that still, and they have to learn how to filter. And with young children especially, the stuff comes home, the people they're exposed to, the circumstances they're exposed to, that will come right back home. And then to have a motto, and to have a how would you say, a codex, maybe. Codex is more like a military thing, right?
Code.
A code, yeah, like a what defines you as a small group, us as Raising Excellence, or as a business, or as a family. Then what defines us, what are the
3 of us as a family. Oh, how sweet.
and we talked
Yes,
about that, and it was sometime last year. Maybe it would be even interesting to do that again, right? To our values, what we stand for. I remember one of the first shows was on that, actually, and I was expanding on how we did that for our nonprofit organization back in Jamaica, and how that was a really powerful exercise, and that took actually long. That took like a good effort and a good while to really recognize everyone's needs and everyone's vision, but it made us stronger, and it built even more group esprit de corps group.
So does that mean we're gonna? Oh, esprit de corps, you're such a multilingual man. Amazing. So does that mean that next Monday our show is going to be different? It's going to be in the new format?
possibly.
Or are we going to have a special Christmas week? Something. Well, we are
Maybe.
going to have a special Christmas week, something.
We may be changing our times. That might be our first step. We'll
Yes,
see about some of
Because
the
we
other
don't want
stuff.
Dennis to be sleepy. Yawn, Dennis. Show them how sleepy you are.
Oh, you were the one yawning today.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was. But yes, a little bit earlier would be better because it's at sunset, it's just one of those things for us too. So, but yeah, so that's the story. That's the story for today. And that's the story that we're providing to our lovely listeners. So exciting changes, more interaction with listeners, more questions asked, more direct questions asked, more direct interaction with us, and also a new time and a new format of the show. So that's what you can expect next week. And I
Well,
think that's it.
more ways that we can interact with our audience as well. Because like the courses that we're providing, outside of Raising Excellence, the information that, or the information that we're providing for, in more in depth, certainly all that kind of stuff.
Well, and the readings and your show and Dennis's show, bringing it all together and giving them the access, not just to Raising Excellence material, but all the other material we produce, that we sort of keeping it all separate for whatever reason. I have no idea. And only just recently started mentioning our other offerings.
Well, we certainly should
even
keep
our-
next week's program in line with the global occurrence of the shift,
Winter?
the 21st. That is
Oh,
supposed
yes.
to be on Monday anyway.
Solstice.
Absolutely.
Solstice, exactly. So that deserves.
So that
topic
either
for
of
itself.
one of you have an astrologer in your back pocket, because that would be very apt for next Wednesday.
We certainly can gather some information and some inspiration around that time of the year, isn't it?
I might have an astrologer. Well, let's see if we can get one. Yeah,
So next
Alrighty.
week,
Well,
solstice.
next week solstice and changes. The global
solstice.
change
Well,
will meet
the
the everything
summer solstice
excellent
half the
change. It'll be all aligned.
You said
Wait.
800 years. I heard it's the only time, like in 6,000 years or something like that, that this thing is going to happen, and it's going to be a shift in the energetic
So it's
transformation.
next Monday. Our show is on Monday, and next Monday is the day that the actual shift and the magical star happen.
Isn't it like 3 days after when the sun, stays exactly?
well, then
The same.
Days
in
after
3
is our
days.
second show, so we can be there for that. We can definitely be there for that. All right, so let's close out the show for today. We'll be back on Monday, possibly at a new time. We'll make some announcements on Discord. We'll make some announcements on Facebook, and make sure you guys are informed. And and hopefully we can get you guys on our Discord channel as well.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Take care, everybody.
Bye bye. Until solstice.
Solstice.